I thought you might like an update on what I'm doing with my Peacock yarn advent. Now, I haven't got very far, but let's talk through what I have done. I wound each of the mini skeins into balls, and I think they're looking very pretty. My original project idea was to make the Together shawl in a colour fade through the different sections using all the different colours of the advent. But when I knitted up a sample of the garter stitch, I just didn't like how it was looking. It's quite a fine slippery yarn, which means when I knit with it, it gets quite large and it doesn't have the look that I'm after. I tried it from 3.5 down to 2.7 millimeter needles, and it just wasn't going to work. So that might have to be a project for some other yarn. My next thought was to try with the 2.75 needles, which are the smallest of my interchangeable needles, a little sample just by itself of both garter and stocking net. And the stocking net's okay, but it's still a bit too big. So I think really for this yarn, it needs to be stranded. I am pleased to report that my stranded knitting sample turned out much more productively. I started down with 2.75, which was too tight, and worked samples up to 3.5 millimeter needles. I think the 3.25 millimeter needle gives a nice fabric. So then I looked at a few different patterns and thought I found a nice jumper pattern. However, when I compared the gauge required, the gauge of the sample is just so much smaller. So I think while that pattern does still speak to me, maybe a previous advent, we'll see. For the moment, I think I just need to be keeping a lookout for a pattern, maybe something less size, something that I can just repeat more of. So maybe a different sort of scarf or cowl, or I'm not sure. If you've got any ideas for some stranded knitting that can really show off the colour work patterns for something like that, please do let me know.